May Allah heal you from whatever pain you are suffering from. May Allah heal you from whatever pain you are suffering from.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidil Mursaleen, amma ba'd, fa'a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, bismillahir rahmanir rahim. As-salatu wassalamu alayka ya Rasulullah, wa ala alika wa ashabika ya Habiballah. As-salatu wassalamu alayka ya Nabiyallah, wa ala alika wa ashabika ya Nurallah. Dear viewers and listeners of Madani Channel, welcome to another episode of this very motivational silsila, Spiritual Cures, where we try to bring forth the research of His Eminence Amir Ahl-Sunnah Damat Barakatuhum Al-Aliyah, and we try to provide some kind of wadha'if, invocations, some kind of relief and motivation to the grief-stricken ummah of the beloved Rasul sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wasallam. Because let's face it, each person has their own difficult times, their own trials and tribulations, some more than others, some minor problems, some major problems. Some are going through financial difficulties, others are dealing with different types of illnesses, sicknesses, diseases, and yet others are going through spiritual problems in their life. So inshallah today we are going to be touching on the best of all cures, and that is the glorious Quran. What to recite for what problem we are facing. And subhanallah azza wa jal, the Quran itself is so amazing. This is a grand miracle of the beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It is preserved to the letter, unchanged, unaltered since the very beginning. Subhanallah azza wa jal. And just by looking at the huruf, the letters of Al-Quran, even without reciting, just by looking at the letters, there is reward in that. For reciting there is reward, for listening there is reward. Reward upon reward, subhanallah azza wa jal. So yes, whoever recites the glorious Quran in the morning, in the evening, not only does he collect an abundance of thawab, of reward, but he gains lots of blessings of Al-Quran. He is cured from inner diseases, outer diseases as well, subhanallah azza wa jal. Take for example, a person approached the final Prophet of Allah Azza wa Jalla, Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam, and complained of what? Complained of a sore throat. Of a sore throat. Do you know what the beloved Rasul sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam advised him to do? The one who complained of a sore throat, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam advised him, recite the glorious Quran. Subhanallah. Amazing. Before we go a little bit deeper into the different surahs to be recited on which occasions, or to divert whatever problems we have, let's recall the beautiful hadith. Niyatul mu'mini khayrun min amalihi. The intention of a believer is better than his action. Let's make some good intentions. Oh Allah Azza wa Jal, I am watching, I am listening to the silsila of Madani Channel for your rida, for your pleasure and happiness, for the pleasure of Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. I'm here to seek knowledge of deen. What I learn, I will try to practice and convey these messages to others as well. So have a diary, have a notebook. You can quickly jot down the important points. And as they say, ink is the best memory. Sayyidina Anas radiyallahu ta'ala anhu says, capture knowledge by writing it down. Then you can refer to it at a later stage, and maybe in your life sometime you may be going through that difficulty, you'll know what to read. You know somebody, another Muslim family friend is going through that problem, you can advise them. To the mercy of Allah Azza wa Jal, they will gain some relief, inshallah ta'ala. Let's listen to a beautiful excellence of Salat ala Nabi, Durud Pak. It is mentioned that the one who recites Durud Pak, Salat ala Nabi, 1,000 times upon the beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he will not die until he sees his place in Jannah. Subhanallah. So let's make up our mindset that every day I must dedicate some time for the recitation of the glorious Quran, and go one step further. And I should read the translation from Kanzul Iman. And one more step, and tafsir, the commentary, the exegesis from either Nurul Irfan, Khazainul Irfan, Siratul Jinan, or Miftahul Ihsan, which is available. Subhanallah Azza wa Jal, 2 volumes are available. That is in English. You can download these from dawudislami.net or obtain the hard copy from Maktabatul Madina, our bookshop and publications department as well. Also make up the mindset that every day I must try and recite a minimum of 313 times salawat through the Pak. And every day, sometime I must dedicate to recite dhikrullah, istighfar, seeking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's forgiveness, and seeking knowledge of deen from authentic sources. Inshallah Azza wa Jal. Sallu ala al-Habib sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. A man once presented himself in the court of Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa wasallam, and he was complaining of chest pains. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam advised him, recite the Quran. Subhanallah, Allah Azza wa Jal has stated, وَشِفَاءٌ لِمَا فِي الصُّدُورِ. Translation, and cure for the hearts. Even the glorious Quran, it is the best medicine for various types of sicknesses, diseases, trials, tribulations, problems, difficulties that we are experiencing in our lives. Nabi sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam in fact has mentioned, Khairud dawa'i al-Quran. Allahu Akbar. This is from the truthful lips of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that the best medicine is the Quran. Commenting on this blessed hadith, Allama Abdul Rauf Manawi rahmatullah ta'ala alayhi, he has stated that the best amulet, the best ta'weedh, is that which is carried out through the glorious Quran. And Allah Jalla Jalaluhu states in Al-Quran, Surah Al-Isra, verse 82, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, وَنُنَزِّلُ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ مَا هُوَ شِفَاءٌ وَرَحْمَةٌ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَرَحْمَةٌ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَلَا يَزِيدُ الظَّالِمِينَ إِلَّا خَسَارًا. Translation, and we send down in the Quran that which is a cure for the Muslims and a mercy, and it increases only ruin for the unjust. A cure for the Muslims, a cure for the believers. Why don't we come back to the teachings of the Quran, to the recitation of the Quran? How many blessings are we losing out? I want to quickly mention one narration to show us the power. If a person has yaqeen and tawakkul ala Allah, trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, especially with regards to the enormous benefits, blessings of reciting Kalamullah, the words of Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Al-Quran. Imam Nasiruddin Basti rahmatullah ta'ala, he once became very ill and he slipped into a coma. People thought that he passed away. They gave him ghusl, they shrouded him up, they buried him. But he was actually alive. He regained consciousness inside the grave. And soon he realized, he was shocked, he was surprised. But then he realized that, you know what, people have buried me alive. Allahu Akbar. In the state of anxiety. We can imagine. Imagine if somebody buries us alive. What would be our condition? What would we do? So in this state of anxiety, of worry and this shock that he has, he remembered a narration that stated, whoever recites Surah Yasin. Surah Yasin is regarded as the heart of the Quran. Everything has a heart. The heart of the Quran is Surah Yasin. What a beautiful surah. Every surah is beautiful. Every verse is beautiful. Subhanallah. So he remembered the narration which said, whoever recites Surah Yasin 40 times in a state of distress, in a time of distress, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would remove his troubles and trouble will turn into relief. Imam Nasiruddin Basti, rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi, he started to recite Surah Yasin. Look at his trust in Allah Azza wa Jal's kalam. He starts reciting Surah Yasin. Allahu Akbar. He had reached the 39th time when a shroud thief began digging from the top to steal his shroud. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Azza wa Jal is all wise, all knowing, is the best of all planners. So the shroud thief is busy digging from the top, and upon completion of the 40th recitation of Surah Yasin, the shroud thief had completely dug open the grave. And when he sees Shaykh Sayyidina Nasiruddin Basti rahmatullahi ta'ala exiting the grave, he gets such a shock of his life that he falls down dead. Allahu Akbar. Subhanallah. Imam Nasiruddin Basti rahmatullahi ta'ala, he thinks to himself, if I'm going to go back to the city in broad daylight, people will get terrified of me. They will think I came back to life because they just buried me. So what did he do? While still night time, he goes through each street, each door, knocking on the door, and he makes an announcement at each home that I am Nasiruddin Basti. You people thought I had passed away, but I was in a coma and I regained my consciousness in the grave. I am alive. He made this announcement at each of the homes in that city, in that place, that locality. Through each street, he made this announcement loud. And you know what? This great personality goes on to author a commentary of the glorious Quran. Subhanallah, Subhanallah. Sallu ala al-Habib, sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Amazing. We're going to share some noted surahs from authentic sources, in particular from a very authentic and known book called Jannati Zewar. If you can, try to get your hands on this book, as you'll find these surahs, these ayat in there as well, and what is to be recited at what occasion. If a person feels that I'm making dua and I'm not seeing the effectiveness of my dua, now keep in mind, if a person sincerely, from the bottom of one's heart, makes dua for something jais, for something permissible, cries in the court of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it would be accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not necessarily how that person desires. Can happen if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills, that can happen. Or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would reserve that dua for the hereafter that will benefit him there. A person on the Day of Judgment would say, Ya Allah Azza wa Jal, I wish you had not accepted any of my du'as in dunya. When he sees the rewards that have been reserved and stored for him in the akhirah. But we are human beings, And many want that instant gratification. We want to see, we want it now. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala include us amongst those who are the sabirun, the patient ones. Allah Azza wa Jal may grant a person something similar to what he is asking for, or Allah Azza wa Jal, the All-Wise, will divert some calamity that's heading towards him. If a person recites Surah Al-Fatiha 100 times, whatever dua is made after this will be accepted by Allah Azza wa Jal. Insha'Allah Azza wa Jal. Surah Al-Fatiha 100 times, and then make dua for whatever it is that is needed. Subhanallah. They say when you are purchasing a property, a home, a new house, before you move in, make sure one of the first things that you do is place a Quran in the home for blessings. Place a Quran in the home. Recite Surah Al-Baqarah. Even in your current residence, Surah Al-Baqarah, by its recitation, shaitan, jinn, Satan flees from that house. The entire surah. This is the largest surah in the Quran in terms of verses. So its recitation will force Satan, the jinn, to flee from the home. And in a new home or flat, or whatever residence it may be, host a Khatm Qadiriyah. And you'll see the blessings overflowing. Through the barakah and blessings of the awliya Allah, especially Awthi Pak Shaykh Abdul Qadir Jilani Rahmatullah Ta'ala Ali, you'll witness, you'll experience those blessings. So recite Surah Al-Baqarah in the home to chase away shaitan and the jinn. If one is jobless, one is unemployed, and you putting your CVs here, there, everywhere, and you're not getting any positive feedback, and you're on the verge of poverty, or you are experiencing poverty, for the removal of poverty and dependency of asking people for handouts, recite Ayatul Kursi. Ayatul Kursi, recite this. When you're going to sleep, recite Ayatul Kursi for protection of your life, for protection of your home and your neighbors' homes all around, those who are adjacent to your home. Also, recite daily Suratul Waqi'ah. That person who does so would never suffer from starvation. Inshallah Azza wa Jal. Suratul Waqi'ah every day. Subhanallah. We've all heard about Masih ad-Dajjal, the one-eyed liar who's going to come in the future and spread his fitnah, his mischief, his corruption around the globe. Allah Azza wa Jal protect us and our offspring that we will never meet. Who knows that maybe from my lineage there will still be people from my lineage that will be there at the time of Dajjal. So you learn this, memorize this, get your kids to memorize it, and encourage them to continue this process to their children and to their children. To memorize what? To memorize the last 10 verses of Suratul Kahf. The person who does so will remain secured from Dajjal. Try to recite Surah Kahf on Jumu'ah days, on every Fridays. This is also very beneficial. These few items like Ayatul Kursi, Suratul Kahf, or the last 10 verses, etc., we can actually memorize it. Even if a person is not studying to become a Hafiz al-Quran, this facility is available by Dawat Islami as well, via the department called Madrasatul Madina. Even online, subhanallah azza wa jal, Hifz classes are available. If you don't want to do hifz, at least these surahs, these few surahs that I'm mentioning, try to memorize them so that you can recite them. Like Surah Yasin. Look at how Sheikh Nasiruddin Basti Rahmatullah Ta'ala alayhi, he was benefited from the recitation of Surah Yasin. Subhanallah Azza wa Jal. We mentioned about Friday. That Islamic brother who visits his parents' graves or one of them on a Jumu'ah, on a Friday, and recites Surah Yasin next to their grave. Allahu Akbar. Allah Azza wa Jal will grant forgiveness for him in place of each of the huruf of Surah Yasin. Each letter of the Surah Yasin. How many letters are there? Allahu Akbar. So for each letter, there will be forgiveness for that person just by reciting Surah Yasin next to the grave of your parent or both parents. Subhanallah. That person who has different types of troubles, who's a magnet for troubles. For some people, they feel like, one trouble comes and then goes, and another one comes from another direction, and trouble upon trouble. Recite Surah Dukhan. Recite Surah Dukhan to remove your troubles. Inshallah Azza wa Jal. A person who is in the throes of death, the pangs of death. It's not an easy thing because we don't know what that person is experiencing. The pain, the intense pain that person may be going through in the duration of those last few moments. We, the living, can help them. How? By reciting Suratul Jathiyah. Make a note of it. Suratul Jathiyah, and do dam. Blow on the person. He will have a good death, a peaceful end. And for ease in that person's agony of death, also recite Suratul Nazi'at. Suratul Nazi'at, Suratul Jathiyah, and blow on that person. Subhanallah Azza wa Jal. Allah. If we want blessings in the home, don't make the home like a graveyard. Recite the Quran. Recite Salah in the home. Islamic sisters should make sure they are punctual with their Salahs. Islamic brothers can perform Nawafil Salahs in the home. Tahajjud, Ishraq, Chash, Duha, Awabin, Salatul Tawbah, Tahiyyatul Wudu. So many different Nawafil Salahs are there. Recite Adhkar in the home. Every Thursday night, especially Thursday after Maghrib, is actually Friday, Jumu'ah. The souls come home to visit, and they see, is anybody reciting anything to send us Isol Thawab, anybody making dua? You and I are going to know this when we leave this world. And how sad would it be that you visit the home, my children, my grandchildren, nobody is reading anything. No Surah Yasin, no Qul Sharif Khatam, no Isol Thawab, no dua. People are busy watching TV, or people are busy on their phones, on social media, chatting, laughing, enjoying themselves. Allah, at least fix this. Thursday after Maghrib, sit down. Recite Surah Yasin Sharif. Recite Qul Sharif Khatam Sharif. Make dua. Salatul Salam. Make dua. Ya Allah, what little we have recited, please accept it. Send it as Isol Thawab to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Through his wasila, through his sadaqah to Anbiya Alayhi Salam, Sahaba Ikram, Ahlul Bayt, Awliya Allah, all mu'mineen, mu'minat, muslimin, muslimat, marhumeen, marhumat, and specify the names of your marhums, whether your parents, your spouse, your children, your uncles, your aunties, your brothers, your sisters. Their names are taken, are called out in Alim Barzakh, in Barzakh, and they become happy. Do them that favor at least. That tomorrow when you are gone, I am gone, others may do that favor to us. Allahu Akbar. Subhanallah. So, if you want to benefit those who have passed on, don't forget to send them as much as Isol Thawab as you possibly can. If you want blessings in the home, recite Suratul Hujurat. Suratul Hujurat and do them. This is beneficial for blessings in the home. Now, if you have a garden, whether in your backyard, or you're a farmer, or you know somebody who's a farmer, whether it's subsistence farming, intensive farming, commercial farming, on a large scale, then advise them to recite Surah Qaf. Surah Qaf. This will bring about an abundance of fruits in that garden, in that farm. Surah Qaf. Subhanallah. Whatever you're reciting, make sure that we make good intentions. Firstly, for the pleasure of my Rabb Azza wa Jal, for thawab, and for the benefits and blessings that lie in its recitation. Include that in your intention as well. And obviously as Isal thawab to the marhumeen. Because to do a good deed, we can have multiple good intentions to gain maximum rewards. If you want your objectives to be achieved and attained, recite Surah Ar-Rahman 11 times. For one's objectives to be achieved, Surah Rahman 11 times. Subhanallah. And if you're going through difficulty, for ease in each difficulty, recite Surah Muzzammil. Surah Muzzammil 11 times. Inshallah ta'ala, those difficulties will be eased and you'll be granted some relief. This is part of preparation for the grave, for your own grave. Who does not want safety in the qabr? That after my passing away, I would like a spacious grave. I would like protection in the grave against adhab al-qabr, against the punishment of the grave. Adhab al-qabri haqqun. The punishment of the grave is a reality. Allah protect us. Allah protect us. Allah protect us against the punishment of the grave and the hereafter. Ameen bijahi khatamin nabiyyin sallallahu alayhi wasallam. But something we can do whilst we are still alive in order to gain protection against the punishment of the grave through the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is to recite every night Surah Mulk. Surah Mulk one time every night. Make this part of your routine, part of your habit. Encourage your next generation to do the same. Subhanallah Azza wa Jal, those who are punctual with filling out and practicing upon Nek A'mal, which you can download, pious deeds, you can download for free from App Store, from Play Store, from our website as well. And this is a self-monitor, that you're monitoring your own spiritual progress without anybody around. Nobody needs to know what you're filling. If you did it, like one of the points is, did you recite Surah Mulk at night? If you did it, you put the tick. If not, you leave it blank. So you monitor your progress throughout the months. Subhanallah Azza wa Jal. So try to get that app, or if you want the hard copy, visit your closest branch of Maktabatul Madina. Subhanallah Azza wa Jal. So Surah Mulk every night, recite this for protection against the punishment of the grave. Allahu Akbar. Still, we also need to refrain from evils, sins, evil habits, wrongdoings. Obey Allah Azza wa Jal, obey Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, be punctual with our 5 daily salahs, practice the Sunnah. All of those things need to be in their place. Whatever is obligatory upon us, that needs to be in its place. For that person who's studying Hifdhul Quran, Subhanallah Azza wa Jal, for ease in memorization, recite Surah Al-Muddathir. Suratul Muddathir. Recite this for ease in memorizing the glorious Quran. Allahu Akbar. If somebody ran away, they ran away from the house, you don't know where they are, and you want their safe return to the will of Allah Azza wa Jal, then recite Suratul Duha. Suratul Duha, wad-duha wal-layli idha saja. Suratul Duha for one who has ran away from the home and you wish for their safe return through the will of Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And just as a side note, if something is missing, maybe something valuable, one of your possessions, money, wallet, phone, whatever it is, then recite Ya Rabbi Musa, Ya Rabbi Kalim, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, continuously. Inshallah Azza wa Jal, you will find that lost thing. If a person wants blessings in their possessions, then recite Surah Alam Nashrah. Recite this and do dam over those things, those items. Inshallah Azza wa Jal, there will be loads of blessings in that. To improve one's character, one's mannerism, we have to put the effort in. For anything, the effort needs to be put in. And as a help, recite for the improvement of character and manners, Suratul Teen, Wat-Teeni wa-Zaytoon, Suratul Teen 3 times. If a person has joint pains, recite Suratul Alaq. Suratul Alaq has the cure for joint pains. If a person wants honor, respect, who doesn't want that? We want to be respected. We want to be honorable. And we should be honorable. A believer is honorable. A believer has dignity and honor. And for elevation of honor, recite Suratul Qadr. Inna anzalnahu fi laylatil qadr. Suratul Qadr in the morning and in the evening. Allah Azza wa Jal will elevate that person's honor. One who is suffering from jaundice, from vitiligo, then recite Suratul Bayyinah. Suratul Bayyinah, this has a cure for vitiligo and jaundice as well. Do you know Suratul Zilzal is equivalent to a quarter of the Quran? Meaning, if you recite Suratul Zilzal 4 times, you get the thawab of reciting the entire Quran. Subhanallah. How easy it is to earn thawab. But maybe because of my laziness or negligence or heedlessness, I'm missing out on all these opportunities. One greed is good and it is encouraged. Greedy for doing good deeds as much as possible, but the niyyah, the intention must be clean, must be pure, for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If a person is affected by al-ain, nazr bad, the evil eye, or even an animal, if you've got a pet cat, for example, it's affected, or if a person is a farmer, or your animal of udhiyah, of qurbani animal is affected by nazr bad, possible, can happen, then recite Suratul Adiyat wal Adiyati Dabha, the whole surah, and do dam on that person or that affected animal. Inshallah Azza wa Jal, that nazar bad, that evil eye, the effect of it will be removed. If one desires protection against calamities, then recite Suratul Qari'ah. Al-Qari'atu mal-Qari'ah. Suratul Qari'ah, recite this for protection against calamities. If a person is in debt, and today more than ever, there are so many people that are drowning in debts, loan after loan, and are struggling to pay off those loans and those debts. Here is some quick relief in order to pay off those debts at the earliest. we have to put the effort in also. As always, I can't be sitting down doing nothing and expecting the debts to just disappear. So whilst putting in my efforts, and in order to pay off those debts at the earliest, recite Surah Al-Takathur, Alhaakumut Takathur, 300 times. 300 times Surah Al-Takathur in order to pay off those debts at the earliest. If one is depressed, has anxiety, worry, is in a deep state of sorrow, is grieved, then recite Suratul Asr. Wal Asr, Innal Insana Lafi Khusr. Suratul Asr removes sorrow. And a person who is depressed, then also call out the adhan in their ears. Inshallah Azza wa Jal, this will have a positive effect on them to help remove that depression. With all the other things, to identify what is causing that negative state of mind and to help them and aid them in those ways of encouragement, motivation, upliftment. Recite Surah Al-Asr as well and call out the adhan. Don't scream into their ears. In a normal tone, call out the adhan in their ears. If you have an enemy that is always plotting and planning against you, and if you want protection against that enemy, recite Surah Humazah and Suratul Fil. وَيْلٌ لِكُلِّ هُمَزَةٍ لُمَزَةٍ أَلَمْ تَرَ كَيْفَ فَعَلَ رَبُّكَ بِأَصْحَابِ الْفِيلِ. Surah Humazah, Surah Fil, for protection against the evil of your enemy, for protection of your life. Recite Surah Quraysh, لِإِيلَافِ قُرَيْشٍ, the entire surah. This is effective for protection of one's life, for protection of Iman. Our leader, our master, Ala Hazrat Imam Ahmad Raza Khan, rahmatullah ta'ala alayhi, the scholar of Sharia, the destroyer of bid'ah, has mentioned, when you're going to sleep, after your surahs, du'as, wada'if, the very last thing you do is recite Suratul Kafirun. قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ. The entire surah, one time, and then sleep away. If you need to talk to anybody, then recite it again. It must be the absolute last thing that you do. The one who is habitual with this practice will pass away with Iman, insha'Allah Azza wa Jal. Allah Azza wa Jal grant us a good maut with Iman, whilst fasting in Medina Tayyibah, Zadahullahu Sharafa wa Ta'zeema, and burial in Jannatul Baqi, and entry without accountability into Jannatul Firdaus in the closeness to Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Ameen. Bijahi khatamin nabiyyin sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. If you're going through a very trying time, lots of difficulties, then recite Suratul Ma'un. Suratul Ma'un. Recite this. It is very effective in the time of difficulty. If a person desires children, then recite Suratul Kawthar. Inna a'tainaka al-kawthar. Recite Suratul Kawthar for the person who desires children. Suratul Kafirun is equivalent to a quarter of the Quran. You recite it 4 times, you get the thawab of the entire Quran. Similar to Suratul Zilzal. And Suratul Ikhlas, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ, is equal to 1/3 of the Quran. By reciting it 3 times, you get the reward of the entire Quran. Subhanallah Azza wa Jal. If you have people who are troubling you, who are jealous of you, and you want protection against them, you want protection against jinn, against shayateen, then recite Mu'awwadhatayn, which is Suratul Falaq, Suratul Nas. Recite this for protection against jinn, against shayateen, and against jealous ones as well. Let us get back to the teachings of the Quran. Recite the Quran, look at the Quran, learn from the Quran, obey the Quran, the commands of Allah Azza wa Jal. In this lies our salvation. Until next time, keep watching Madani Channel. Sallu ala al-Habib sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam.
May Allah heal you from whatever pain you are suffering from. May Allah heal you from whatever pain you are suffering from.